Coming up on today's Locked On Senators, we're joined for a half-hour conversation with one of the greatest American hockey players of all time, Keith Tkachuk.
Big Walt gives us his honest take on the Ottawa Senators, and he's got some hot takes right off the start.
And so do we, because it's game day for the Ottawa Senators. They're in Winnipeg tonight. They're on the ice at the morning skate, so we'll have news and notes from that and more. This is the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I'm Jake Sanderson, and you're listening to Locked On Senators podcast.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Welcome inside episode 888 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. You can follow the show on social media at Sens Central, on Instagram, lockedon.senators. The show is free and available on all podcast platforms, including on YouTube, where a subscription and a comment go a long way to helping the show grow. Today's episode is brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook. It's the official sportsbook of Locked On. You can make every moment more. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed by visiting FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Today is Thursday, October 5th, and Pilsy, Josh Norris is on the ice for the morning skate in Winnipeg wearing a regular white contact jersey.
Whew, there's something we haven't heard in a while. Josh Norris on the ice and in a regular jersey. Wow, that is a good sign.
It's a great sign because we know we are inching ever so close to opening night, less than a week away. And it would be critical days if he is not in the lineup, especially with the current Shane Pinto situation. So great news. Josh Norris on the ice for the morning skate. He will not play tonight, but he is potentially going to play Saturday. Here's what I'll ask you, Pilsy. How important is it for you that Josh Norris plays a game before the regular season?
This is the question I was going to throw to you. So great question, Ross, I must say. I'll give it a 6 out of 10 importance. I think it'd be good. Obviously, you want to get that pace going. His skating hasn't been affected, so that's one nice thing is he's not going to be a step behind guys. He's been skating, I'm sure, just on his own without any contact or any kind of worries about setbacks, hopefully. So I think it's a good idea, Ross. I think that maybe the better question is, and I'll Uno reverse card this on you. If he does play on Saturday, do you want him taking faceoffs?
Yeah, I don't think he should be in a situation where he's not taking faceoffs at all. Otherwise, I don't think he's ready to play. And I think it's as simple as that for Josh Norris. Get in the mix, get your paws dirty in the dot, and snap back 55% like we've been used to seeing.
I'm standing on my side of the argument, Ross. I don't care for Josh Norris to take faceoffs in a preseason game.
Well, regular season's coming. You got to be prepared, as our friend Frankie McDonald would say. So I want him to be prepared to step into the dot and be the centerman that the Ottawa Senators need. We'll find out on Saturday. The Senators will host Montreal. Tonight, they're in Winnipeg. I mentioned off the top, they are trickling onto the ice. I can tell you that Anton Forsberg will start tonight. He is in the starters end at the morning skate. We'll have more lineup notes on the other side, but we know why you're here. You want to hear from Keith Tkachuk, Big Walt, the captain of the captain. The dad. I showed him the Winnipeg Jets captain jersey. He loved that. He said, "Is that game worn? I don't see any beer stains on it." What an absolute beauty. This guy's a legend. On the other side, I'll ask you your thoughts of sitting down with him. Let's get to it. Yeah. Here's our interview with legend of the game. Here is Keith Tkachuk. All right, we now welcome on a very, very special guest. During an 18-year NHL career that stops in Winnipeg, Phoenix, St. Louis, and an espresso shot in Atlanta, this former power forward became, and still is, one of only 3 players in league history to score more than 500 goals while racking up over 2,000 penalty minutes. He's been to a pair of Olympics, earning a silver medal in Salt Lake City, and won gold at the '96 World Cup of Hockey. Now you can find him scouting with the St. Louis Blues. He's also a proud dad that gets to watch his 3 kids compete in high-level sports, including Brady, the captain of your Ottawa Senators. It's a pleasure to welcome Big Walt, Keith Tkachuk, to Locked On Sens. Thanks for joining us.
Well, I appreciate you having me. Is that volume okay? Because you got really excited there, kind of breaking up on me there. Is all good? I thought when you got too excited, it just came in and out. But no, I appreciate you having me, guys. Let's do it.
Oh, man, we got a Hall of Fame career to talk about and really U.S. Hall of Fame. But we had a really good campaign to get Daniel Alfredsson in the Hall of Fame. Do we need to get that going for you? 538 goals. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. Whatever happens, happens. I think I might have to go in as a builder with the boys if they keep going the way they're going. So
you let us know, Keith. We'll help you out if you need it. You let us know. Now, speaking of your playing career, you had 24 games played against the Sens in your career, 8 goals, 13 assists, 21 points, 24 games. Not too bad. Are there any memories that stick out for you playing up against Ottawa, being in the city of Ottawa, or anything at all?
Well, you know what? I got to play in the old building. I think that's
nice.
The 67s played, correct? And then, that's when obviously, wasn't as strong as they were with, Chara, Alfredsson, all these guys. But it got harder and harder. But you could see the passion up there for the fans, and I can see it right now watching Brady's team over the last year. That it's pretty exciting place to play, but we're always being a West Coast team. I was always in and out of there, so you really never got to spend a lot of time. It'd be different if I played in the East and we were able to stay, there for a couple of days. But it always seemed like you're in and out of there. But always a tough building. I think it's a beautiful building out in where it is right now. But it's just obviously a little bit far away. But exciting times for Ottawa. I'm on the Ottawa Senators bandwagon. I think this is the year they climb into the playoffs. I was a Florida bandwagon last year. Now I'm on the Ottawa side.
I love it. Yeah, I always say if they could just find a way to strap a little thing to a plane and just lift that exact same building and put it downtown, it'd be great, man. Because it's obviously got great memories for us, but it's a beautiful building and it kind of has that Coliseum feel, right, that you want with the Senators. So no, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, it's actually great sight lines in that rink. It really is. To be able to sit there, I know where Brady has his seats with his wife, Emma, and when I go up there, my wife, it's fun. I have a good time up there. It'd be nice, but if you're bringing something closer to downtown, I think you're going to get more people involved, more people over in Gatineau. I think it's an exciting time, and, I've been following the Sens for a few years now, and I enjoy going up there too. What a great bunch of people to deal with at the rink, the staff, the trainers. They're so welcoming up there, and I wish I can get up there more often, but it's just a little bit tough, with Matthew in Florida and then my daughter at school playing, but her season will end, around, American Thanksgiving.
So when you talk about the Ottawa Senators, you've been following them for a few years. Something tells me around 2018 is probably the time, and it's been a long rebuild since. But Brady was the first piece of it, 4th overall back in 2018. Like, how have you watched the core kind of form around him going forward?
You know what? My wife and I were just talking about this, and this might offend people, but I was a little wishy-washy when he first got drafted there. But at the end of the day, it was a blessing in disguise. It was a real. It was the best situation for him, just the way things played out, the way they treated him. And now there's a lot of hard work, both the front office, the fans, the players, and everybody involved to get where it's at today, where you have stability with ownership, a lot of good people around the team, bringing players back. And now you have guys like Stützle, Sanderson, Brady, Batherson, Norris, there's so many, Chabot, there's a lot in Chikrin. There's a lot to like about the situation. It's unfortunate they're in a tough Atlantic division, but we're really thrilled what happened with Brady's maturity process. With the coaching staff, DJ and Pierre and Ryan Bonus and the people they surround Brady with. It's been a blessing in disguise, and we're so happy, and we're really thrilled that he's part of it. And hopefully they can get over the hump here in the next year to get in the playoffs. Because in the Atlantic, there's a lot to be said now with injuries in Florida, injuries in Tampa. Boston is missing a few guys. Toronto's a lock, but everything else is wide open. So hopefully everything's good to go for the Sens early in the season. They can be healthy and ready to rock.
Hey, if they don't, then we'll just get you on local radio midway through the year.
Hey, if my daughter's team loses another one this weekend, I might have to get on and chew their team out for being soft. But I don't want to go there again because the Ottawa Senators do not play soft. I was so impressed at Matthews' team last year. Yep. It wasn't like I was rooting against Brady or rooting for it. I just didn't like the way they played in a pivotal game against Ottawa, and I was a little pissed off at that, and I knew they were going to Toronto, and I just wanted to rock the boat. Matthew was not happy about it. It was a win-win situation, too. If they stunk and didn't make the playoffs, I was right. Yeah. But maybe I should have got Executive of the Year.
Hope you're enjoying our chat with Big Walt. We'll get right back to it. But first, a word from our friends at FanDuel.
FanDuel is the official sportsbook partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. They're the number one sportsbook in North America. So if you're going to use any sportsbook, why would you use anyone other than FanDuel? Especially if you're a new customer, you can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. And if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is easy to use. It's safe, simple, secure. There's so many different bets you can do. There's spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Get your futures in on the Ottawa Senators while you still can. That would be my recommendation for today. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Shawarma Palace. Go visit any of Ottawa's 7 Shawarma Palace locations. It's the best and only place that I go in Ottawa when I'm craving a shawarma. They've been around since 1997, started as just one location, a family trying to do well and give the people what they need. And now it's got 7 locations and growing. So clearly the reception is as good as I make it out to be. I always get the platter, get the extra garlic on there. The chicken's always fresh. The hummus is fresh. You got the garlic sauce on there. And how about the fresh salad there? Nice little contrast. The potatoes, they've got it all in the platter. Or if you want a quick to go, grab a sandwich and take it on the run. You can also order Uber Eats exclusively as the delivery partner of Shawarma Palace. So go eat at any of their 7 locations from downtown to the East End. Opening soon, maybe, in the West. They're also at the Saint Laurent Shopping Center and at Carleton University. So go eat like a royal today. Go eat at Shawarma Palace. All right, now back to our conversation with Keith Tkachuk.
What is it about this team that gives you the confidence? You said it off the top of the show. Love hot takes off the top of the show that this is going to be a big year for them. What is it that they've done in this offseason or that they've done accumulatively that makes you feel like, okay, this is a team that has the pieces put together to be successful?
Well, first off, I think, going out and getting a solid goaltender, to have a 1A and 1B because they're both going to push each other. And Forsberg, who's been outstanding, and I believe he was a waiver wire pickup, but getting Korpisalo, I think here is going to be huge. And it showed the other night against Pittsburgh where they had 6 power plays to none, but that's another story. I think the move they made to get Chychrun, if you can get 75 games out of Chychrun because he's had some injuries in the past, but he's a heck of a defenseman. Now you have a really good top 4. You don't have to overuse. And I'm going to go on record saying Sanderson will win the Norris in the next 5 years. I think he's a special player. Branstrom looked good the other night. Hammer is going to be that guy who blocks shots. And then you got Clevin in the wind. I think down the middle, first of all, Pinto has to be signed. It's a joke that he's not signed. That's on the Ottawa Senators there. But if you got Stützle, who is a superstar in the league. There's no doubt about it. To me, he's a superstar. You saw it last year. The kid is phenomenal. Then you got, Norris, if he's healthy, hopefully. And then you got Pinto. You got Ridley Gregg, who looks outstanding. You've drafted well. You got the veterans. You got Brady for the size. You got bringing in McEwen. You got Kastelik. Parker Kelly plays hard. You got 2 great veterans, who showed they've done it in the past with Giroux. And I feel bad I'm rambling on, but Tarasenko, I'm sure I'm missing a few guys. Batherson looked good the other night, but you got these guys all locked up at a young age. Their core, their guys. in this financial world, salary cap, you're in pretty good shape, and then you got Joseph, who's won before her, I forgot. So you got the pieces in place. You got to stay healthy. You need to have a good start. I know everybody's saying that on Ottawa. They haven't had a great start, but I think with the 2 goalie system and the better defense, they'll be able to score goals. And then they have that part in midway through the year where they have a road trip and they do, like they did with Chicago and out west last year, Calgary. They had a horrible.
That road trip killed them.
I was so pissed off at Brady. Him and I weren't even talking because I was so mad at him, and I just feel bad that I got mad at him. But anyways, you get the start and that one road trip crazy cost them because they were only out, 6-7 points at one point.
Well, you'll appreciate this. I know you like a few beverages. We were at my bachelor party in Cabo. They trade for Chicker, and we have the best week ever. Pilsy finds out that the team's in Chicago on his layover, and that's the effort he got to see.
I was betting them to win by 4 goals. I was betting them to win by 5 goals. I had so much money down. I was excited, and it was a complete
Chicago, which ended up helping Florida at the end, beating Pittsburgh, but they were trying to lose. I mean, and that's the first game of the road trip. Like, you can't have that type of effort. And that's something I don't say very often because DJ's done a good job with his coaching staff, making sure this team is ready. And they play hard, but they had a horrible road trip that just eliminated them right there. So I think, that's experience too. I think Giroux's been a big factor with helping these young guys out, and hopefully Tarasenko does the same thing. And I like their team a lot better. They're playing in a tough Atlantic division, which is probably the best division in hockey. Let's face it. And Buffalo's gotten better. Detroit's gotten better. So, it'll be interesting, but I have faith in these boys. And I think you'll see an even better Stützle, who was up here. I think Sanderson's just going to go boom. And, then you're in good shape for a lot of years with the score.
Now, you mentioned Claude Giroux there, and I want to ask you more about this. You were a captain for a lot of seasons when you played Claude Giroux, longtime captain of the Philadelphia Flyers. And then he comes into Ottawa, and Brady Tkachuk is the captain. What was that like for Brady from your understanding, from your viewpoint, having Claude Giroux come in and kind of be like, look, Giroux, obviously a veteran of a long time, but looking at Brady and being like, this guy is a leader, this guy has good control of this team, and he's going to help him. Just how crucial was that to have a guy like Giroux come in and help this young core out as far as veteran experience goes?
Well, it's huge. I think Brady has a tremendous amount of respect for Claude. He looks up to him. He asks him a lot of questions. And why not? Claude's been there for a long, been in the league for a long time. He's still an elite player. Has experience in the playoffs, and he's just been around day to day. And I think when you can lean on guys like that, that's going to help Brady become a better captain. And Brady doesn't have to be that guy all the time, where he can lean on the veteran guy like Giroux to help him when there's some difficult situations. And I think, that's, Brady, I think was 21 or whatever he was when he became captain, or 22. I don't even remember when it was, but that's a young age, and that's difficult to be in, especially when you guys, when the team hasn't had playoff experience. So I think anytime you can bring veteran guys in to help Brady, I know looks up to Claude, and I think it's been great, and they playing great together as a line. I think and Claude, scored at his age, the way he produced. That's huge. He not only leadership in the locker room, but he can help you on the power play. He can help you on face-offs, and just little things, I think, helps Timmy and him and Batherson and Norris and all those guys at the young age.
What was your first impression of Tim Stützle, whether it's on the ice or meeting him in person?
Well, he's a super kid. He's always happy, goofy happy, like the rest of those guys in that team. And I love going to the rink with them when I'm in town. It's just funny to see how they interact. And I've been on a lot of teams. They're a pretty close-knit team, and they're all the same age. They all have the same likes, and and I think it's great. But Timmy is just super. He's a nice kid, always comes up to us and very engaging. He's, and he's come on, you can tell he was talented. At the end of the day, he probably should have been the number 1 pick if we look back at a redraft, and Sanderson's right there next to him, maybe 1B. But we love Timmy. He's a great kid. Him and Brady have a great relationship, and, he's only going to get better. He really is. He's a natural, first line center, superstar status in the league.
It's so funny going back, and I recalled that Jimmy Stu was always there, but it was Brady taking him off the pedestal right away, and turned out to be pretty funny now looking back and having them as line mates. Now, I want to ask you this, because obviously you're watching Brady, and it's like, okay, him and Josh were so good together, going back to the U.S. program and then the start of their NHL career. Josh gets hurt, unfortunately, and all of a sudden Timmy and Brady have this bond. Like, how do you see, if at all, the difference in how the game is played when Brady's with Josh versus with Timmy?
Well, they're both obviously great skaters, and Josh and Timmy, and they're powerful, and they, I think that helps Brady in a lot of areas. Timmy's probably a little more natural, east-west game, strength on his edges, where Josh is a straightforward, I'm taking it to you. But I can see the chemistry right now between Brady and Timmy, and I love what Brady did over the summer, working on some things to help create more offense for that line and the team. And Brady looks bigger and stronger than I've ever seen. So, and I see it the other night, clobbering a few guys. So I think it's a great mix with him, Timmy and Giroux together. They all bring different intangibles, and whether it's with Josh too, it's the same thing. That's more of a power line. Then you have Batherson probably on the right side of Tarasenko, who's the more skilled kind of passer, while the other guys. So I think it's a good thing to have, where DJ can interchange a lot of things, and DJ can play the guys that are playing now that they're a deeper team. And the good news is they still have, the Ottawa Senators still have prospects that are, I work for the Blues, who you rate very, very high. So that aren't even playing on the Ottawa Senators right now, where they're playing junior and Belleville, so they're very deep, and hopefully it happens this year, but it's long term. The new ownership came in at the right time to see the success with them all signed for a long time.
Now, Keith, when you're watching hockey as a former player yourself that played in a very different era of hockey here, what's one thing you're watching and it just drives you up the wall? It just pisses you off seeing the way the game is played now, and maybe how you think it should be played instead?
Well, I don't know. It's hard for me to say, because they're more skilled than when I played. I think it's incredibly amount of skill. Some of it's overbearing to watch, where I get pissed off, but some of the shit that I get pissed off about, my kids do. So, but I think they respect the game, and I just love watching the game now. It's so much fun. It's so talented players, and it's not just. It's Canadians, Americans, the European system. It's you're seeing more and more different. It's not just one-dimensional now. The skill level is outstanding. So it's a fast game. It's a strong game. But Gary Bettman's done a great job of putting the situation. Now we're seeing hockey in markets like Las Vegas, and Florida, and you're seeing players come out of California, players getting drafted from, Tennessee, from Missouri,
Arizona.
I mean, it's just incredible. It's incredible to see that.
How about whether it's on ice or off ice, something that today's athletes in the NHL take for granted compared to when you played?
Well, I've been fortunate enough to realize, like when I played in Winnipeg, you flew commercial. Yeah. And the time you flew private or, chartered is when you played back-to-back. Now, all the teams, I've been on dad's trips, and they got a pretty good setup, And it's still tough, you still get in late at night, but, the travel sometimes 3 and 4 nights, but it's a whole different style of traveling, and the way they get, where they stay, where they get fed. And, there's, a lot of these teams, and I know with Mike Anlauer and Matthew down in Florida with Vinny Viola, there is no excuses for not having everything you want. So you better play well. And that's great ownership. We have that here in St. Louis too. So these guys get, they have everything exposed to them. It's whether they use it or not. And so there's no excuse now. But back when I played, I hate to say that, you stayed overnight a lot. You had a little fun at night after games, but you're on that commercial flight all the way back to Winnipeg, connecting in Minneapolis and going up. So, and that, you look back, that probably, you just didn't know any better. So I think the travel is a lot better now for these guys.
I will say it's awesome that the Tkachuks all have a Canadian connection, but none in Montreal or Toronto. I love that. You played in Winnipeg, Matthew played in Calgary, and Brady in Ottawa. We love that.
Yeah. We don't like any of those other teams now. So it's all on the Ottawa Senators bandwagon. So let's go.
More from Keith Tkachuk in just a moment, but first, a word from our friends at Indeed.
When you're drafting your fantasy team, do you ever wish you could do the same thing with your business team? If you're building a roster to win the league, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one simple place. Don't spend hours, days, weeks on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills. Why would you do that when you can get it done quickly with Indeed? Find top talent fast with Indeed's personal, powerful hiring tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. Hate waiting? Well, Indeed's US data shows over 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates the moment they sponsor a job. Candidates you invite to apply through Instant Match are 3 times more likely to apply to your jobs than candidates who only see it in the search. With Instant Match, as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Indeed does the hard work for you. Sponsor a job and boom, Instant Match shows you the candidates you want to see. Join over 3 million businesses worldwide using Indeed to hire great talent fast. I know I've been hired by multiple companies through Indeed. I think like my last 4 jobs was through Indeed. So that is just goes to show that it works. Indeed knows you're growing your own business. You have to make every dollar count. That's why you need Indeed. You only pay for quality applicants that have your must-have job requirements. Visit Indeed.com/lockedon to start hiring right now. Go to Indeed.com/lockedon. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Now back to Keith Tkachuk.
Now, I want to ask, this is something that fascinates me. The Ottawa Senators have kind of a clear pattern when it comes to drafting lately, especially high-end talent. They're looking, I shouldn't say they're looking, but a lot of their draft picks have dads that played in the NHL. I mean, you look at Brady, you look at Jake, you look at Ridley Gregg, Tyler Boucher, Josh Norris, Drake Batherson. A lot of these guys, there's pro roots in their family tree. How much of an advantage is that? And not just like genetically, but more as a process. Like when Matthew and Brady are growing up, they're seeing you play in the NHL. They're seeing what that lifestyle is like. They're getting access to all these things. Like, is there something to be said for that? Looking at kids that have had dads that played in the NHL as a special type of prospect, or is that just all kind of an idea?
Well, it's I've been in these draft rooms. If a guy has if we're talking about a kid and his dad played, it's great, but it's not. We're going to move him up way up in the list. But with that being said, I think it's these kids aren't starstruck. Like my kids weren't.
Yep.
They were excited to be in the NHL room because you have to be excited. You don't want them not to be like, oh my God, but they've been there before. They've been at practices with me. They've changed in the locker room. So I think, they've been around guys like, Jeremy Roenick, Shane Doan, Paul Correa, Wader, Billy Guerin, Prom McKenna. So they're not, I don't think that's a cocky thing. They've just been in, that kind of environment. I think it goes a long way. Where there's some kids that just don't know any better. They walk into where the Maple Leaf Gardens or whatever it's called now, or the Montreal Forum. They're like a deer in the headlights. So I think it's very helpful, but it's not the end all be all. But it's good to have that crew on the dad's trick, and we have Castle.
I bet
we have Castle, like his old man played. So we had a great dad's trip, by the way, last year. Oh my God, Dallas and Nashville, that was outstanding with Ottawa.
Give us a highlight. I know a lot of it's probably off the record, but there has to be something you can share.
Well, we Dallas. It was a little foggy that night for all of us because we all partied on the way down. But we in Nashville the night before the game, the kids had the game at noon, so there was a couple dads. A couple of us stayed out late. I think I got taken home by Josh Norris's dad, but one dad showed up. I won't tell you who it is. Showed up the next morning at pregame skate with his face all cut up. He fell. Oh, his face. I'm like, I didn't know this happened because I had to go to bed early for some strange reason. And when I went to the pregame meal, I'm like, eating, having coffee, and look, what the hell happened to you? He was all messed up in his face, but it's fun. I'll tell you, they do a great job. I've been on Florida trips where guys lost their phones, couldn't find their phones. A guy lost where he was going to the hotel, had no idea. So it was some fun times. The guys like to get at it. This is a big thrill for a lot of people that worked hard, and it's nice to treat the dads and be able to live the life through the kids and see how they prepare every day for games.
If you could make your own custom dad's trip. Let's say it's a 3-game road trip.
Nice.
That's a lot. Well, we might have to bring somebody with a defibrillator, but go ahead.
Well, what would the 3 be? Don't worry about geography. Like, don't worry about doing Florida one night and LA the next. Like, wherever.
Yeah, it'd have to work together, I guess. Nashville is a no-brainer, so we're gonna have to.
We'll start there. Okay.
I can't say St. Louis because I play here and live here, so I'm not going to be biased that way.
And you'd know too many people, eh? You got to look of anonymity.
I want to be able to act like a jackass. I would say, because it was last year, we were in Dallas and Nashville. God, you'd have to mix in a Chicago, I think. And there might be some dads that are, taking the IVs during that trip, making sure they're getting, rehydrated. So, but we had a great time last year. They're first class Ottawa, outstanding people.
That's awesome, man. How much has Brady talked to you about the new ownership and what that could symbolize in town?
Yeah.
Well, I've got to know Mike a little bit, through watching junior hockey and stuff. This is before, and he seems like a really, really a guy that everybody wants to play for. He wants to win, obviously business first, but he's a fan of the game. He likes to compete, and he's done a great job with Hamilton, who now is Brantford, I guess. But I think it's incredible. I haven't talked much to Brady because they've been so busy. They've up in Halifax and getting ready for the season. So I'm encouraged. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be up there in November. So I always enjoy going up there. And I think Mike's going to do a great job with his staff and, take this team to the next level.
One thing Mike brought up, and I was kind of leading you into this with that question, is kind of reinvigorating the alumni aspect of things. I know you've played a big role of that in St. Louis. Like, it's kind of too easy of a question to ask, like, how important is alumni? Clearly it is. But in what ways can an organization take care of those who have played for them in the past?
Well, I know some guys are the opposite, but you have to get the alumni involved. I'm not saying they have to be in decision-making, but a guy like Alfredson, who's such a great player and such a great leader, needs to be involved, whether it's down the rink. We had Bobby Plager around here for a long time who, well, God rest his soul, but was just a tremendous person and one of those lighthearted guys. We have guys who are in the Hall of Fame that are working for our team. So I think it's important to be involved. I think it's great, from not just being around the guys in the rink, but great for youth hockey. It just brings more excitement because they've had some great teams, and a lot of those guys still live there. And I think it's just going to make a positive experience for the young guys here, who I probably grew up watching a lot of these guys and idolized them. So I think it's great. Mike is a smart guy. Steve Stale's a smart. Pierre knows, and Ryan Bonus. So I think with that connection, I think it'll be really good for the team to have more guys involved. Chris Phillips is up there. There's a lot of guys. So, Neil's up there. I mean, these are great people who put a lot of sacrifice in to making a successful franchise, and they should be around.
I know that you were in the West for a lot of time, so maybe you didn't. But did you have any run-ins with Chris Neil over the course of your career?
No, I'm smarter than that. I played my game, let him play his game, and let him. Hopefully, I wasn't on the ice with him, but no, he was a competitor. Not the biggest guy, but strong on his skates and honest guy. He was an honest player. So there's some guy. He was an honest player. He's tough, but he was honest. So that's what I like about him.
Yeah, never suspended somehow, some way. I think if
he's too honest.
if he did today, I think a couple of those might have gone the other way.
Yeah, exactly. Nowadays, yeah.
Oh, no, that was awesome. We were actually up in Ottawa. Speaking of Chicago, that was another game against Chicago when he had his jersey retired. Just awesome to see that.
Well, it's great. I think it's healthy when guys, stay. I don't know where Chris is from, but
Flesherton, Ontario, near where I live.
Yeah. How far is that from Ottawa?
6-hour drive.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty cool, that these guys and Daniel Alfredson being from Sweden, living there, and I believe Chris Phillips is out west, right? So
so he lives there full time though.
And I'm sure there's a lot of guys that I'm forgetting, but I think it's important for guys to be around, and I think it's healthy for the players to be involved. Maybe have a lunch, alumni lunch at the rink in the locker room with the guys. I think that's healthy. I think it's a great thing. I think it's a family, and you need to treat it like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, speaking of family, this is something I wanted to ask you. I believe it was Matthew. I'll take you back to when Brady was trying to sign his deal, and things got right up to the minute that season. But I'm pretty sure it was Matthew that said, when you're dealing with a Tkachuk in negotiation, you're dealing with all the Tkachuks in the negotiation. He was talking about Brady's contract. I mean, obviously, as much as you want to enlighten us here, but what does that kind of go through? Like, are the three of you sitting down, and maybe the agent's involved, and you're looking at all options when it comes to Brady's contract, and you're all kind of chiming in with your opinion and how you think things should go? Especially, you mentioned at first you were kind of wishy-washy about the Ottawa Senators and Brady being there, and then ultimately he signs a long-term deal, is named captain, and now things are looking good here. So when you're having those discussions as a Tkachuk clan, what's going on there?
Well, your brother-in-law is the agent too. I mean,
yeah.
So
I trust Newport. They're a great company and they do well. You know what? I understand this. I don't think Brady understood it, and Matthew should worry about Matthew.
Yeah, that's why it was so funny, because he wasn't even talking about his own deal.
Yeah, I'm like, Matthew, let's go. You're not helping this situation, but I understand. I understand his business. I thought it was a terrible, slow process, and it was basically small potatoes, if you ask me, the way they were dealing with it. I was pissed because, you cost, it is business. Hey, you're not going to give the player everything they want. You're not going to, get whatever you want if you're Ottawa Senators, but you hate missing camp. You want to be there. You want to be with the guys. It helps out the season. It just, but it is what it is. That's the way, God rest his soul, Eugene wanted to deal with it. And, we dealt with it. We got it done. But ultimately it's Brady and his agent. But Brady will ask me for my advice, and nobody wants to sit. It's the worst thing in the world. You want to be back playing. Especially when you're away from your friends and your buddies. This is your life. It sucks. It really does. But I'm glad everything worked out. And he was named captain after that. I thought it was a huge honor for him, and I was so happy for him. He loves it there. He really does. You should see that goofy bastard. I mean, he's endeared himself into the city, him and his wife, with charities and playing street hockey on the street with the kids there. He's out of his mind. I mean, but I love it. I love the fact that he's dedicated. He wants to be the best player, and he's with all his buddies.
Well, and he's got a live music segment at the Heart and Crown anytime he needs it. They got the bikes set up for him.
Yeah, or any wedding, I guess. So I don't understand how people can take videos at weddings. It's supposed to be a special moment and put them on Twitter or Instagram, whatever the hell you call it. So, but he likes that. Hey, we have fun. That's the Tkachuk way. But
and the thing is, nobody in their right mind, at least, and we're going to be quick to police that. If anybody gets out of line, Keith, don't worry, we got you covered here. And as the Tkachuk family hound dog,
the good news is we don't give a shit what people think. So
good. Well, that's the thing, because everybody, I think it's an endearing thing. And when people are commenting on those videos, if anybody, and especially like the best one ever was the beers in the holsters in Calgary in the back on the wall.
Yeah, we could have done without that one. I had an issue with that. So
well, hey, you gotta learn where the line is to be able to stay on the right
and
side.
Don't have a kid on your shoulder too. The poor parent was like, the parent let it happen. I'm like, if I was that guy's, I would get him off there.
Yeah, you gotta get a breathalyzer before you get up on the shoulders, eh? Like the stern engine. Now, hey, talking about Brady, final question for me, and Pilsy might have one as well. You can chew this off. You can get into it. I know you're not afraid of any topics, but I don't know if you've seen the Carolina Hurricanes roster day one of the season, but an old family foe of yours is on the roster for the first time potentially since an incident out in Los Angeles that got a pretty good, bunch of media attention. Is there something with the Lemieux-Tkachuk rivalry here that's just generations old, or what? Just a happenstance? You and his old man at the World Cup.
No, that's just the competitive spirit of the Tkachuks and Lemieux, and you leave it on the ice, and I have no issue with it. I think it's great for the game to go out and play hard, and whatever happens. But both guys are competitive. It happened in LA, but what are you going to do? It's Brady shouldn't have to fight him. He shouldn't have to fight Brady. I don't know. It's just two competitive guys going hard at each other, and we'll see what happens. I'm not worried about it. I know Brady's not worried about it, and I'm sure Lemieux's not worried about it.
Yeah, I don't think Brady should be worried about it, but it's going to live on forever. We have it on our soundboard right here.
I don't even know what he's thinking. He's just a complete brickhead. He's got nothing up there. Bad guy, bad player. what a joke he is.
Whenever Pillsy gets in a line, I play that for him. I just say, get out of here.
Yeah, I don't comment like that on players. I'm sure Brady was a little frustrated, and hey, shit happens. There's nothing you can do. The boys will be boys, and it's a competitive game.
No, that's what it is, and it's the best are the post game, right? Because you're still heated. It just happened.
Yeah, and I mean, you know what? I'm not saying biting is great for the game or saying something bad.
Babies don't even do that.
But it made headlines somewhere.
I'm going to be really brave here. I'm going to stand up and say biting is bad for the NHL.
Yeah, let's get that out of the game. Yeah, out of the game. Now, Keith, my final question here is kind of along those lines. Again, you're someone that has experience as a captain. Brady's now a captain, and how does he, or how do you think he should toe that line of being like, I'm the captain, I play a physical game, I want to bring guys into the fight with me, and if scrubs on the fourth line are chirping at me, I'm not going to let that happen. I'll show them I can take care of them. But at the same time, you can't have 10 or 15 fights going up against Jared Tenorti and guys that don't even, Brendan Lemieux, guys that don't even sniff major minutes. And now, sure, a fourth liner, he doesn't care if he gets put in the box for 5 minutes, but he's sitting there being like, I got Brady in the box for 5 minutes and I might have got a piece of him there. How is Brady going to have to kind of balance that, being like, I want to be able to back up my toughness, but I can't do this all the time here fighting these guys?
Yeah, that's a great comment. I mean, it really is. It's hard because Brady's a team guy, a team first guy, and he wants to protect all those out there. And, all these fights are basically sticking up for his teammate, and I have no problem with that. Do you want Brady fighting 15 times or 10 times even? Do you want an $8 million player fighting a $800,000 player? Probably not. Is it going to happen with Brady? Yeah, because Brady is is a big, strong guy who likes to scrap, but there is a time and place for that. But I'm not going to tell him to do it or not to do it. I mean, this is his life, and I know DJ doesn't want him doing it as much as he did, but there are times where he's going to have to do it, unfortunately. I mean, he had some great scraps with Trouba last year, and I think it's that it needs to still be in the game, and it's a competitive game, and everybody's competitive in the NHL. I mean, that's the way it goes. But do you want him fighting the $800,000 player? Probably not, but knowing him, he probably will.
Well, he's actually got more fights in Canada than you. You had 23 fights with the Jets. He's at 27 now with the Ottawa Senators, but he's still got a ways to go. You got 51 in your career, and he's just sitting at 27.
Oh, good. Well, I'm sure he'll try to break that.
Keith, we really appreciate you jumping on. It's been a great, honest conversation. You and Josh Norris's dad, two of our favorites so far. He called Brady a moose. I like that term. That's a new.
I like it. I like it. I just hope they can put it together this year and get to that next level.
So, do you prefer we call you back after 5 wins or 5 losses?
5 wins, please.
Keith, really appreciate the time, man. We'll do this again down the road.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Stick taps to Big Walt for joining us. What a fantastic conversation. Always honest. Always gives you the full scope of what he's thinking and doesn't hold any punches. Hopefully we get that 5-game winning streak early on in the season, Pillsy, because I'd love to have a part 2 of that conversation.
Oh, man, just what a treat to be able to talk with Keith Tkachuk. Obviously, Hall of Fame career on his own. We're going to work to get Keith in the Hall, that's for sure. But then having Brady and Matthew in the NHL as well, it's just, he just has so much knowledge, but in a way that he's just going to tell you like it is and how he feels. Like, we had so many hilarious moments, some hot, spicy takes from Keith as well. So this is the kind of interview where I hope everyone enjoyed it, and keep tabs on all of Keith's takes, because I can see a bunch of them coming true here.
Yes, and hopefully we get the sun to match the entertainment value eventually one day. Brady still yet to come on Locked On Senators. Brady, if you're listening, man, come on, let's make this happen here. As we're getting our lineup tonight, and the captain will be in the lineup tonight for the Ottawa Senators, and it's going to be a very veteran-heavy team tonight in Winnipeg for both teams. Both teams are looking like they are seriously preparing for the regular season. For Winnipeg, of course they are. This is their final tune-up game, whereas Ottawa has one more left afterwards. So we are looking at a lineup exact same as yesterday, where Tim Stützle is at center between Brady Tkachuk and Claude Giroux. Ridley Gregg is between Mathieu Joseph and Vladimir Tarasenko. Rourke Chartier is between Josh Bailey and Dominic Kubalik. And the fourth line is Mark Kastelik with Parker Kelly and Yuri Smekal. On defense, it's Chikrin Shabbat, it's Sanderson Zub, it's Brandstrom Hamonic. And as we mentioned at the start of today's show, we're expecting Anton Forsberg to play all 60 minutes tonight. And I would assume that lends to Joonas Korpisalo playing on Saturday. I've got Norris under injured, although he is skating with the team. A very good sign. The only player who's not skating this morning is Drake Batherson. And coming off his back-to-back in Nova Scotia, it's not like you're evaluating him, whether he's going to make the team like a Zach McEwen, who is on the ice at practice today. So it makes a lot of sense for Drake Batherson to just get the whole day off and just hang out. Maybe go to the Forks for lunch, Pilsy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, this is an interesting lineup for the Ottawa Senators here. I'm glad to see you've got your top line intact. That's pretty much in stone as the top line for the Ottawa Senators heading into the season. You got your full D-core ready to roll, and then you've got some mix and matched lineups here that are going to still determine who's going to win those battles for some of the bottom six roster spots. So that's going to be interesting to watch in this game.
And who is your locked on player of the game?
You know what? I'm going to go Dominic Kubalik here. He's one of those guys that has kind of a secured bottom six role, but I want to see a little more from Kubalik here, and I think he's going to get some better chances, maybe some better looks tonight, and maybe we'll see him on the power play a little bit more. So Dominic Kubalik is my locked on player.
Wow, check it out. We're both going to Eastern Europe for our locked on player to watch, because I'm going with Yuri Smekal because I've seen what he could do up the lineup in the last couple of games he's played. Now, what can he do playing in that fourth line role? Because in all honesty, the likelihood is this is the role that he'll be given to start the season if he does continue to earn a spot on the team, which I believe he's already all but locked up. But for him to go out there and play that style, I'm going to be intrigued to watch him tonight. So Yuri Smekal, and, because I'm boots on the ground, I'll be keeping my eye on Jacob Chikrin. I'll be keeping my eye on Jake Sanderson, Tim Stützle, Brady Tkachuk, Claude Giroux. All the big dogs are in the lineup. So, of course, I'm going to be fired up for that. And my first time, of course, seeing Vladimir Tarasenko in a Sens jersey up close and personal. So really fired up to be at the game tonight. We've got tomorrow's episode is going to be a big one, because we mentioned we got Cheryl Pounder on the show. She's going to be fresh off the press at every gaming store across the world with NHL 24 coming out. And I need to get into the behind the scenes of how that all went down, the recording, and what prep goes into what you see on your screen each and every year. So that's going to be exciting. And I'll have my boots on the ground analysis from last night's game. Pilsy, I am so done with preseason. Thank gosh I'm going to the game tonight. Otherwise, it would be one of those where it's like game 7. Like game 7 of the preseason, let's go. But we are less than 1 week away. It's next Wednesday at Carolina. So I'm fired up, Pilsy. What are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts for me is also we've got the latest and final Ring of Honor. We recorded it this morning, so check that out on Saturday. It's going to be a good one.
Yes, we're very excited. Very excited to have episode 10 of that. We did. Can I say what the topic was?
Yep, absolutely.
The best trades in Senators history. I know some people like to make their list first and go along with it. I think that's a fun, interactive way to ingest the show. And we're excited for a big season. Next week, man, it's hockey season.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm like, preseason is fun and stuff, but let's get it going here. I really want to get to that season opener.
175 days ago from today was the Senators' last regular season game in Buffalo. So it's time. It's time, and we got big guests to carry into the season, and we hope you enjoy. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope you enjoyed tonight's game. We'll be back tomorrow. For today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.